welcome to PM Express from the foyer of Parliament. As usual, the President has lived up to his constitutional mandate and came to the House today to deliver a State of the Nation address. And as democracy pertains, we need to debate it, we need to assess it. And since there are two main political parties in the House, we have the MPP and the NDC, they have to think about it and analyze and see if what the President says is really what pertains. Personally, you sitting at home, on paper it seems fine, but when you get to the market, is it the same as what it is on paper? Inflation is coming down, does it reflect when you're filling your tank? GDP to debt ratio is good when you're buying a ball of cake, does it reflect? And these are some of the things that we need to question. However, the nation as a whole need to get these figures in the right direction. What do citizens do? Live in peace or listen in peace? That's what we're here to talk about. My name is Nana Ansakwao, Chief of the Little Republic of Akomodumasa, and I'm here at Parliament. Right after the break, I'm talking to two eminent MPs who will debate this issue. Don't move.
In 2016, the Public Procurement Authority had 622 sole source requests. 597 of that number, i.e. 98%, were approved, and there were 25 rejections. There were 592 requests made for restricted tenders, and 587, 99.15%, were approved, and there were 5 rejections. A grand total of 0 savings was made. In 2017, my first year in office, 394 sole sourcing requests were made, out which of 223, 56.6% were approved, and 171, 43.4%, rejected. There were 346 requests for restricted tenders, out of which 167, 48%, were approved, and 179, 15.2%, 52%, rejected. Now here is the interesting part. The savings made over the year as a result amounted to some 800 million cedis. Mr. Speaker, the savings are spectacular and the figures are impressive. And as my old mathematics teacher, and I suspect everybody else's mathematics teacher would say, you cannot argue with figures. We have taken the lessons to heart and continue to improve upon the government procurement process. I said I would protect the public purse, and that is exactly what I am doing. We have put in place the structures to help small and medium-scale enterprises and budding entrepreneurs through the challenging startup years. The availability of cheaper credit is good news for business in general and means better prospects for jobs. Mr. Speaker, the subject of job creation has to be at the top of my agenda. The number of young people who cannot find work is staggering and a threat to our national security. I'm determined to work to guarantee and secure the future of the young men and women of our country. Every major policy that my government has implemented in the past year has been essentially about the youth. We will equip the youth with the skills that will enable them to be productive. As a start, this government has established the Nation Builders Corps to employ 100,000 young persons in 2018 alone to assist in public sector delivery in health, education, agriculture, sanitation, and the Revenue Collection Department of the Ghana Revenue Authority. Stakeholders have had a series of meetings on this policy, and the modules have been designed for each of the designated areas. The details are currently being fine-tuned, and next month, this policy will formally take off to join the other youth employment initiatives.
Well, thank you very much for staying, and we are looking at the State of the Nation Address 2018 delivered by His Excellency Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo with me right here in our makeshift studio at the Parliament foyer. Sitting right next to me is Kwabena Minta Akando, who is an Honourable Member of Parliament for Dwaboso, who is a former Deputy Minister for Lands. You're welcome, bro.
Thank you, Nana.
Good. And I also have here Emmanuel Tremanting Ejaku, who is the Honourable Member of Parliament for Ayawaso West, Wagon. Two very fine MPs to debate this issue. But I'll start with you, Kwabena. I mean, the President spoke eloquently, and he says figures don't lie. His maths teacher says you can't challenge the figures. The figures, as an ordinary citizen, seem fine. Debt is going down, GDP, everything seems to be on the right direction. So even if there are some flaws, generally, you'd say it's good, wouldn't you?
And I thank you very much. And on a lighter note, I didn't hear the President say that his maths teacher didn't tell him whether minus and negative will constitute a positive. So that one, I think that his mathematics teacher overlooked that part, but that's on the lighter note. Now, as you rightly introduce this program, the basic question we should be asking ourselves as politicians, as leaders of this country, that our actions and inactions, what are the effects on the citizenry? We can be speaking the good English. For me, if you ask me today, in summary, what the President came to do on the floor of the House is, one, to give shout out to his ministers and to further promise the people of this country. But for me, per my understanding of the State of the Nation Address, you are supposed to tell us the current state of the nation. At worst, what you could do is that, for example, I bought this phone for the state for the last 1 year. This is the phone I have bought for the state. Going forward, I will buy an additional phone. If you are promising, it means that we are clear on what you have done for the state for the past 1 year. So the expectation was that the President was going to tell us what he has done exactly for the good people of this country, but not rattling English to the people of this country.
He said he done free education. At least he said some things he had done.
You see, if you put what he said in its proper perspective, he had a manifesto coming into power. He told the good people of this country a lot of things that, if given the mandate, he will do. Okay? For example, I was expecting the President to tell us that, look, I have constructed this number of kilometers of roads for the past 1 year, and therefore going forward, I'm going to add so and so to it. Okay? I was expecting the President to tell us that, look, I promise the good people of this country this number of jobs. This is the number of jobs I have created. And going forward, I am going to add this. If you keep telling us what you are going to do, at a point in time, I was wondering whether or not the visit of a president is an achievement. How could that find space in the State of the Nation? That the President of Republic of Cote d'Ivoire visiting us, what's the news about it? Even when we were litigating in court, our President was going there and the President was coming here. When we were litigating in court. So what's the news about it? So in summary, you realize that the President had absolutely nothing to tell the good people of this country, but per the Constitution, he must say something. Look, he told us when he was in opposition that the prices of fuel were escalating.
Let me get a preliminary comment from Emmanuel, and then I'll come back to you, and then we'll start dealing with specifics.
No problem.
So, plenary comments, would you say was, praise singing and promise mongering?
Thank you for having me.
You're welcome.
Good afternoon, and good afternoon to my colleague. Per Article 67 of the Constitution, the President shall, at the beginning of each session of Parliament and before dissolution, deliver to Parliament a message on the state of the nation. The President has fulfilled a constitutional requirement, and he has delivered a State of the Nation address. You might disagree with what it is. When it was some people's turn, they brought people into the gallery and pointed out that I have helped this woman to do a piggery. I know one of the guys. After they brought him, he came to me and said, "Oh, they didn't even tell me that this is what they were going to do." Okay. As for style, you might disagree. I think what we should focus on is the content. His Excellency the President was given a mandate by the good people of this country to manage. The essence of you becoming the president is to manage this country. The household administration, so that the good people of this country can do the important things, can eat, can find water, can go to school, can find jobs, can go to the hospital. And I want to believe these are the issues His Excellency came and reported on. You see, when it is convenient, you will tell all and sundry that the figures are not important. I heard across the aisle one person shout that it no be figures with the chop. I agree. It is food we eat. But you see, if you are giving a mandate by the good people of Ghana to manage this country, to manage, when you talk about this, managing this country, impliedly, it is to manage the economy. And you, in your management, the best you can do, the best outturn you can do, is to leave us with a budget deficit of 9.3. If you are to manage the economy, your best outturn, in spite of all the resources available to you, is to give us a GDP growth of 3.5. Okay. It should be acknowledged. Otherwise, what shall we talk about? Nana, in world over, there are indices that are used world over, whether it is in the right-wing countries of the West, or it is in the People's Republic of China. There are indices, that economic indices that are used. You cannot run. There is not another way. If China says it is the best performing economy, it is not a figment of their imagination. They will tell you that our economy grew by 9.6. Our foreign reserves grew by this amount. There is not another way to indicate. And this is exactly what the president was reporting on. So what again should he have reported on? Nana?
Nana, basically, one thing I don't understand about my friends in the MPP is that they seem to be giving complex explanations to simple issues that Ghanaians must understand. And so they run and hide themselves behind technical ways. Look, deficit is not a bad thing. It's not necessarily a bad thing.
What?
Deficit is not necessarily a bad thing. For example, if you decide to spend $1 million a year, okay, per your budget, you get to Jaboso constituency and you realize that there is a need for you to construct some 1 kilometer road, which is not part of your budget. and you exceed your budget, the good people of Jaboso have gotten a road. So it depends on what you use the money for, the excesses for. So when we are explaining, we must at least attempt to break it down for the good people of this country to understand. If we are talking about GDP, there are two main traditions in our economy, the oil and then the non-oil sector. As for the oil sector, what have you done? If you are talking about the legacies, we'll give the praise to His Excellency John Dramani Mahama for putting the necessary measures and infrastructure in place for us to see this boom. Go and talk about the non-oil sector. How much are you growing? Even common army worms. Look at the amount of money your minister came to the floor of the House and told the people of this country that they squandered. For the first time, I heard something they call retrospective procurement. I've never heard that in my life before. That you do the procurement in the anticipation of something to happen in future. He rightly made some fundamentals. And look, no country in this world can develop without the basis, the infrastructure. He was talking about how people will eat, the hospitals people will attend, the road people will attend. In fact, I agree with him. That was what I was expecting His Excellency to be talking about. We've heard President talking about the state of the nation. When His Excellency the President, John Dramani Mahama appeared on the former president appeared on the floor of the House, he was doing an evidence-based presentation. That look, I am saying that I have created jobs. This is the evidence. That look, I have constructed the road from Takwa Tubo Gosu to Anyamfre. It's 90% complete. If you like, challenge me. That look, I have constructed not less than given not less than 123 out of the 200 day schools for contract. Challenge me. These are tangibles. These are things you can see. You cannot challenge. So I was expecting the president to do some. Look, I have laid a single block. Now your village. Your village. Adumase. That look. Adumasa. That look. Go to Adumasa. I have laid a KG block there. Go and see. And so going forward, I am going to add a stationary classroom. Then I will understand. I will appreciate it. If you tell me that your agri sector is doing so well, and you go to the market, and the price of Olonka of Gary is rising. If you tell me that the agri sector is doing so well, I am a commercial rice farmer. Now a 5 kilogram of 50 kilogram of rice, the local one, is going for not less than 160 Ghana cedis. That is how much it's going for. If you told me when you were in opposition that people could not afford fuel, and today once you run into the fuel station, people are panicking. They cannot afford, and you're not telling us anything about it. And all you could do is to be singing praises for your ministers, and you are telling us you are protecting the public purse. We should not talk about it. Now I will talk about it. For me, I was struggling. You see, I was very attentive and listening to the president to get something, excuse my language, something meaningful that I can go back to my constituency and tell them, like, today the president came to parliament and this is what he said he's doing in my constituency. I couldn't get one. I couldn't get one. And that is supposed to be the state of the nation. I am very happy that the good people of this country watch this thing live. And it's not about me saying it. Okay? That what at all did the president, it's about rattling English language. What at all did the president say? It's not about I am going to do this. The president of Cote d'Ivoire has visited us. And therefore, going forward, this is what I'm going to do. No, it's about what you have done. Forget about your budget. There's a time for budget reading. And we have gone through that procedure. This is the state. The 1 year mandate you had, or your 1 year in power, what have you used that power for?
Before I bring Emmanuel, you're a member of parliament. In this 1 year, have you not approved anything in parliament that would have been beneficial to anybody related to Jaboso?
No, not that I know of. The loans that have come so far, if I have been specific, and Jaboso is on the table, the loans that have come so far, the old project, the ongoing projects, the ratifications, the roads under constructions, the senior high schools under construction, they are the old projects that His Excellency John Dramani Mahama started. For now, as I speak to you now, Nana, let me draw your attention to the fact that in their manifesto, and in fact, I listened to a video by the vice president, saying that they were going to give every constituency $1 million and that it was not going to fail every year. Today, as I speak to you now, we are in the second year. I'm a member of parliament. I don't know if he has gotten his own in his constituency. Where is the $1 million they were talking about? And we should not ask about that. I'm sorry, you will ask.
Well, you're both in the House, and your colleague here is saying, nothing impressive happened within the year in Parliament. Ironically, the President also said this year is one of the on record where Parliament has sat a lot and passed a lot of bills. So I'm trying to find where the balance is.
Well, I would be surprised if Akando says anything otherwise. It is his responsibility.
State your opinion.
It is his responsibility as a member of the minority to denigrate the achievement of the government.
No, that's not a fair word. To denigrate. I'm only stating the fact. I mean, how will I denigrate somebody? I think you can use better word than that.
Okay,
Not to see.
not to take the shine off what the president has achieved.
Well, if you saw any shine, I didn't see any anyway.
But really, he talks about, you want us to divide the economy into oil and non-oil. Let's go. Nana Zakwa. Sometimes, respectfully, I want us not to leave these things to politicians. I wish that you, the media people, will sit down and take, over the last 10 years, over the last 16 years, economic growth, desegregate it, when we started oil and when we didn't have oil, and find out, okay, at least the president made mention, a year before, industry was a negative.
Positive, negative, negative, minus negative.
Yeah.
That's what he said. You are quoting the president.
Whether
it's a quotation, isn't it?
Whether it was, the facts are there. Today it is 17.7%. Say that this one too is oil. You understand me? Number two, you sit here and talk about the president did not talk about a school. You, in your time, promised the good people of this country that you will build 200 schools and sign lousy contracts and combat this country. So, and you finish 40. So should we go back and cancel those? I think the sensible thing a sensible government will do is to fund what you started. You promised the good people along the Eastern Corridor. Today, that Eastern Corridor road is in shambles because of politics and because of elections. You made Cocoa Board sign contracts when you knew that Cocoa Board had overspent their money on roads. Cocoa Board came to this house and told us that they were going to borrow money to buy cocoa and to do cocoa roads and to buy fertilizer. In that 1 year period, they overspent their budget on roads. 100 kilometers that was contracted, still not done. The president came and said that we will find the money to do it. So we shouldn't, the contracts you gave for the 123 out of the, and you could only do 40, some of it just at the foundation stage, we shouldn't do it. We shouldn't do it. In any case, when His Excellency the President, then candidate, was contesting, he stood before the good people of this country and made some firm promises to them. What we need to do is to ask, the promises that the President made, is he fulfilling them? Yes, he is fulfilling them.
Let me stay with you. One thing that I personally found strange, that the president didn't touch on the fuel prices at all, even though it's like the biggest issue today. There was a strike yesterday, but today, there was no hint on the fuel prices. Was it strategic?
I am not able to see why His Excellency the President did not speak to the matter. But it is like you are saying, a matter on the front burner. And I want to believe that it is being seriously looked at. You see, we have moved away from a situation where petroleum prices was regulated to a completely deregulated regime. When they were in power, petroleum prices came down up to $30 per barrel. Today, it has inched up to almost 70. The formula for the petroleum prices is not hidden in somebody's bosom. It is an open formula. It comprises, among others, of the costs of the crude or whatever on the world market. Exchange rate plays a part, and taxes. I am happy to say that exchange rate has not varied very much over the last 1 year. Indeed, check it, Nana. The depreciation was 3.4% over the whole of last year. What has happened is that the prices of crude has gone from 30 to 70. Certainly, it will reflect in the export price. Certainly. We are lucky that we have a government that has been able to hold the exchange rates. If God was not kind to the good people of this country and the NDC had continued, and the trend where exchange rates had depreciated by 40 or 50% per year, I don't know what would have happened. Look, the other components are taxes. When we came, we had tinkered with the taxes. Today, after all, what are they saying? They are saying that the taxes that they imposed, the special taxes that they imposed, we should take it away. They imposed it. Now they are saying we should take it away. I want to believe that Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo's government is giving a serious consideration to it. Budget is about balancing the figures. I am certain in my mind that His Excellency the President is not too happy that this is going on. I am certain that he is not happy that the price of fuel, ex-pump, is going up. I am certain that if there is anything he can do to alleviate the suffering of the ordinary person in the street, he will do it.
Let me take a quick break here, and then when I come back, we'll go back and get a response from the other side of the house. Don't go. Thank you very much for staying, and as you know, the State of the Nation address has been delivered, and I have with me two eminent MPs to discuss this issue. Obviously, one from each house, each part of the house. And let me come to you, Kobna. You've listened to your brother.
And is it not interesting to you, this conversation?
Let's look at the petrol side and
yes,
then move on to
that's
other
exactly
issues.
where I'm going to. You see, sometimes I do not know whether my brothers in the MPP, they listen to themselves when they speak. Governance is not whether or not the president is happy about something. That's not, it's a serious business. Whether the president is not happy, whether the president is sleeping, it's none of my business. It's about what the president is using the taxpayers' money for. And what the president said. We are talking about deregulation today. Didn't they know when they were in opposition that we had that deregulation regime in place? And yet they were criticizing the government that the government could reduce the fuel prices. And today, it is because the fact that Nana Akufo-Addo is not happy with it is enough not to deserve the attention of the State of the Nation address. If something is at the front burner and it is catching the attention of everybody in this country, it is the first thing that must be mentioned here today. It is the first thing, it is the state of the nation. It's not what you are doing in your bedroom, or it is not what you are doing and nobody knows about it. This is the state. This is what the good people of Ghana are talking about. Nana, what have you done about it? So I am equally shocked that His Excellency didn't touch on the fuel prices at all. Especially so when only yesterday some people demonstrated against the during the weekends. I went to the filling station and my car that I could fill less than 250 Ghana cedis, it got to 400 Ghana cedis, and I told them to stop it. I am telling the truth. It got to 400 Ghana cedis, and it was even the tank was even not full. I had to stop them.
It's not true.
And if you listen to the drivers, the commercial drivers, the taxi drivers, the argument they are making is that if you strike the difference between the two regimes, His Excellency the former President John Dramani Mahamad's regime and the current regime, they are losing minimum of 50 Ghana cedis a day. So if you come and tell them that, look, because we have put in place free SHS, which is the first year that you are paying their school fees, and therefore they should be clapping for you, and you will not mind them as far as the fuel increment is concerned, you are not doing any favor to anybody in this country. Because now let's do this simple mathematics. Let's do this simple mathematics. If somebody tells you, if a taxi driver tells you that, look, I am losing, as compared to the former regime, I'm losing 50 Ghana cedis per day. We have, an average of 30 days a month. So it's about 1,500 Ghana cedis a month. Okay? Multiply by 3. Every term is 3 months. It's about 4,500 Ghana cedis. Senior high school, they pay school fees in a year. So multiply 4,000 Ghana cedis multiplied by 3. How much are you getting?
It's better with cheaper petrol than
fantastic. The point. That is the point. This is basic, Nana. You don't need to. You don't need to go to Harvard University.
To move to employment, but let me
finish on that. Let me finish on that. Nana, it's my good friend here telling me, is it in this country that they have maintained, and this is the language of the president, they have maintained the exchange rate in this country. Do you remember the last time, after the 2016 when President Mahama was leaving office, $1 to cedi ratio? Now, as I speak to you now, it is more than 4.5. Yes, more than 4.5. Yes.
And when he was leaving, what was it?
It was less than 4.0.
Yeah, look at him.
4.0. You are not the only person in this country.
Nana,
you can Google.
Ask your producer to check right now.
Yes, they can check.
Ask your producer to check.
They can check. And yet you are making noise. Nana, in the history of Ghana, the only government that has had single-digit inflation it was George.
It's not true.
His Excellency, the late President Mills.
It's not true.
What didn't they say?
It's not
true. The bottom line is that my grandmother in the village is saying that when she goes to the market, she cannot buy a kerosene. When she goes to the market, she cannot buy an olonka of rice or gari. People are not buying things in the market. People cannot afford. The electricity bill that your minister in charge of your finances came to the floor of the house and promised that they were going to decrease it. For me, I don't know if yours has been decreased. As I speak to you now, if you compare, go and pick your last bill in 2016 and compare it to now, the current bill, compare it and see the difference, whether it has been decreased.
Let me get Manuel to respond, then I'll come back to you.
First and foremost, you see, I think I always say that it is important that you media persons do better than us. For him to say that he used to fill his tank with 250 cedis, today it is more than 400 cedis. It's a complete lie.
Is my car for you?
It's a complete lie.
Do you know my car? I'm telling you what I used to do when you are challenging me. My car is not for you.
You see, you are talking about ratios and percentages here. If you say that the price has gone from 250 to 400, you are saying that the price of fuel in the last 6 months has increased by 70 or 80%. It is a palpable lie. I am here and I will admit that the price of fuel has gone up by probably about 20%. So if you told me
1 year, let me admit and take your figures. 1 year.
Yeah. So don't tell.
And you're clapping for yourself.
Don't tell the good people of this country
what
that.
What did you say when you were in position? What did you say? Tell them.
Okay, let him land.
I think that when you were speaking, I showed you respect by not.
But you know I respect.
By not interjecting.
No, I respect.
You will have a right of rebuttal.
Very well.
You see, when you sit before the good people of this country and you speak to things that are not true, the price of fuel has not increased by 60 or 70%. The price of fuel has increased by 20%. And there are attributions. We are saying that the price of crude has gone up from 30 when you were there. In fact, it had inched up to about 46 when you were leaving. Today, it is 70. It is a challenge. And we will not sit here and tickle ourselves. Okay. The only option we have is to look at that special tax you brought. That is the only option. Because we can't do anything about the price of crude. We can't. We are not able to. And I am saying that it is something that we are looking into. If you want to play politics with this, when you were in government, that is if you play politics, I also will play the politics. When you were in government and the price was 30 and the good people of Ghana asked you to reduce it, you told them that you had debts, so you were keeping the money. You left this country with something we now call a legacy debt of around 10 billion cedis that we have to raise bonds to pay from under recoveries and exchange losses. We are moving forward as a country. We cannot go back and create those debts again. I feel, because I also buy petrol. Petrol prices increased over the last 1 year by probably about 20%. World over there is not an exception. We must find a way. I said the only window we have is to reduce the taxes. And you don't reduce taxes overnight. You must look and ensure that as you reduce the taxes, you must find other sources of revenue. I am minded to say on this program that it is something that this government is looking into. That is the only window we have. The taxes you imposed. We must find a way to relieve the good people of this country some of those taxes.
Let me move on to another thing which bustles everybody's mind is there wasn't much said with regards to employment, even though the president, touched on it about that. Look, it affects national security, but the numbers were a bit vague. Bearing in mind that Dr. Free has already mentioned the figure which have gotten a job opportunity. There wasn't much.
I think that he was upfront about this matter, like you said. And it is not the first time. When we were in government previously, it was on the same premises that former President Kufuor started the NYEP. It was evident that the issues of youth unemployment had become a national security threat. It has not gone away. It has not gone away. Look, a pointer to this is that just recently, the immigration wanted to employ 500 people. 84,000 young people applied for it. I am the member of parliament for a constituency that harbors the premier university of this country. On a daily basis, I am confronting students who have been sitting home, who have finished university and have been sitting home in the last 3 or 4 years. If the previous government was minded to do something about it, we wouldn't have been where we are today. If the previous government was minded to do something, all they were interested in was to do models with the National Youth Employment to create loot and share. But of course, His Excellency the President is here saying that in a modest way, the Accra Digital Center is training 3,000 people and the EcoBank is willing to fund them. His Excellency the President mentioned that we are starting a youth corps that will employ 100,000. Listen to it again. 100,000 university graduates. Nana, with the greatest due respect, any young person who lives in Adumasa, whose parents have, as it were, sacrificed everything they have to take care of him through university, and he finishes Legon and comes back to Adumasa because there's no job for him. If tomorrow he gets employed in the youth corps, I am sure that even though it might be temporary, I am sure his parents will be happy. It is better for their son to wake up in the morning and have a shower and dress up and say, I am going to work. We are minded to do what is right by the good people of this country. His Excellency the President has put in place many, and one of the things that I believe will help is this one district, one factory thing. If we are able and we will be able to actualize it, I believe that it will go a long way to help. The second thing that I heard my brother speak to was that this government promised that they were going to give $1 million to each constituency. In the first year, you needed to put in a legal framework. Okay. We were here in this house when we passed the Development Agencies Bill. Without the Development Agencies Bill, there was no vehicle to carry on this. Again, we were here in this year. We all passed the budget. There is a 1.2 billion cedis in the budget for the development for the development agencies. I am hopeful. I am extremely hopeful that this is just the beginning of the budget year. That by the end of the first quarter, we will begin to see some real movement. I am hopeful. In my constituency, I've had meetings. They have asked me. There are many things we can do. You know, His Excellency the President said that then we will begin to talk about development that is pertinent to the local areas. In my constituency, there are many gutters, little gutters we can do. There are many sidewalks we can pave. And all of this will be within the vicinity. It will offer employment to masons, to laborers, and semi-skilled people.
On that note, let me take another quick break here. Thank you very much for staying with me. In our makeshift studio is Emmanuel Chamanting Ejakun, Honorable Member of Parliament for Ayawaso West Wagon, and Kwabna Minta Akando, Honorable Member for Joabusu, and also former Deputy Minister for Lands. Uncle, you're former Minister for...
Myself?
Yeah.
I have never had that privilege.
You never had that privilege?
No,
Oh, okay.
I used to be Chief Executive Officer of the Food and Drugs Authority.
And the brother is the Minister for...
We are talking about me.
Yeah. Probably it's confusing the name.
No. It's food and drugs that I was thinking of. Yeah, food and drugs I was thinking of. But yes, as the conversation goes, so I'm sure you want to respond to what he said.
It's interesting. You see, instead of them to admit that they've not created any job, then they'll be running around ranting.
Oh, but they've done the planting for food and jobs.
Yes, I'll come there. I'll come there. You see, if you declare an intention, it is not necessarily creating a job.
No, I don't know the numbers.
Yes,
I don't know the numbers, but
I will even spare you the numbers. But let me build my point.
Okay, build your point.
The point I'm saying is that my good brother here stated that there's going to be something they call youth core or something, and that the president spoke about it and all that. I am talking about the state of the nation today. Please, yes. And so if the president comes, he should tell us that I have implemented this. That is what we are talking about. Let's go to the agric sector. The minister of agric was mentioning figures like 740,000, more than 740,000 jobs created. Nana, are you with me?
Yeah.
Yes. And then the president today also said that they have also registered more than half a million. These are the words of the president. You understand? And even with the figures, I mean, there are contradictions. But quite apart from that, Nana, I'm a farmer myself. Subsidizing fertilizer doesn't mean you have created any new job. It's not true. My grandmother, who is a maize farmer,
no one has registered in Joabusu.
If you register, you've not created a job. The fact that, for example, if about 200 people, march to MOFA office and they go and write their names that they want, seeds or they want fertilizers, you've not created a job, for Christ's sake. And then you sit in Accra and pick those figures and throw it out there. Is that how you should do your job?
Are you saying because they don't have a desk and a chair?
No, I'm saying that the realities. I am coming from a constituency, a rural constituency, and the major occupation in that constituency, about 70% of the population are into agriculture. And I'm telling you that the fact that, for example, I went into commercial rice farming in 2015, okay?
Yeah.
And then in 2017, because I've been buying my fertilizers anyway, then government comes and says, I've subsidized your fertilizer for you. What job has he created for me?
So you didn't expand and hire more people?
How? How?
Well, now
Didn't you?
you can
How?
see,
How?
Because you have
Didn't you?
capital.
Look, listen, and even that one they have been talking about, it is wrong. Let me explain to you on this program. We have two types of fertilizers. We have the cocoa fertilizer, which the government was giving free of charge. The former regime was giving free of charge, and they are selling one bag at 80 Ghana cedis per bag. That's a different fertilizer, and we'll come to that. Now, the fertilizer for rice and maize and those things, yes, those days, when you go to the market, you will see that there's a subsidy of about 25%. That is anybody who will go to the market and go and buy, you have about 25% reduction. Now, if you belong to an association, farmers association, you'll be given a cheat that will further see another 25% reduction. So it was about 50% reduction. But if you don't belong to association, because they were trying to cut down the abuse, you understand? So if you're a farmer and you belong to an association, you were seeing 50% reduction, which is now being touted around. That this is the first time, the government is introducing 50% subsidy on fertilizer. It is not true. In the second place, if you subsidize seeds or fertilizers, you have not necessarily created new jobs. Not necessarily.
So
because if I have a fixed
operative word, not necessarily operative word.
If I have a fixed number of acreage, okay, for example, I have 10 hectares that I farm on, and I don't have any extra land to farm on, and that is my land, and then you subsidize my seeds or fertilizer for me, what job have you created?
Could there be somebody who has 10 hectares but has cultivated, let's say, 6, and through this can cultivate the other 4?
The fact of the matter is that, let me even go into the realities. Ask yourself, when we approved the budget here on the floor of the House, around April, if you go to my area, ask them, what's the planting season? When did even the seeds get down to the constituencies? When the president went to the northern part of the country, he was pleading with the people not to smuggle it. Why did the president say that? As I speak to you now, if you go to some of the districts, the seeds and the fertilizers are sitting down there. Now, the minister is sitting in Accra, quoting the figure that he sent to the district. So he's assuming that those have been exhausted. People have taken them, and so he's reacting them as jobs being created. How can you do this? It's a voodoo mathematics. How can you do this? Again, since we are in the agri sector.
Briefly before I bring him in, is there no one in your constituency that has either entered into farming or have extended their farm due to this?
You see, not that I know. And then number two.
Okay.
Number two, Nana, it is not as though, even if something of that nature has happened, it's not because Nana Akufo-Addo is the president of the Republic of Ghana. It is because you will find it is normal with our system that every year on, the
availability of seeds and fertilizer did not do anything.
No, I'm telling you that as I speak to you now, you go, the people can even not afford. In the initial stages, you know the impression they created? They created the impression as though they were going to give those things to the farmers free of charge. They got to a point, they said, look, come and pay 50% when you finish farming your produce. When you finish selling your produce, then you come and pay the 50% remaining. In the middle of the season, they said they are taking all the money. You know, so it is up to you to go to the grounds and listen to the people.
Let's listen to this.
And finally, let me come. I know he's a farmer, but finally, the backbone of the economy is cocoa. Nana, have you heard that today our cocoa are being rejected back to Ghana? Have you heard that news?
Let me bring Mr. Jaco.
You see,
as for your constituency, nobody's going to farm there.
Oh, who says?
Probably
who says?
Oh, I see.
Who says? I mean, what is the farm? So if I have a big house and I have a
garden in the back,
that's supposed to be farming.
Am I not farming?
Of course.
No, what is it?
How many people are you feeding?
What is it?
How many people are you feeding? What is the effect on that thing on the economy?
Oh, really?
Yes. It's a valid question. It's a legitimate question.
It is the fact that I can have a little backyard and I don't buy pepper and tomatoes again.
You may not have the experience in the large scale farming.
Okay, I have a farm, but I have two. Okay. But you see, the minister has put out the figures. Challenge it. You sit here and say it is not so.
Yes.
The minister has put out the figures.
You should come and show us.
Is it true or it is not? It is not for. He has put up the say that he said that he has employed 3,000 agri extension officers. It's not true. But the guys who went to Oahu or went to Kwadaso agri school and have been living.
The figures, they are 280. During the budget debate, they met me. That as at that time they had not been paid since they were recruited. So I met them 280 from agri college.
I say
they go and quote any figure at all.
And they were home and they were not employed and now they work. You see, if Minta Kando sits on radio or on TV and says it's nothing, he's tickling himself. If
I thank you.
A young man like my cousins who live in Akumesu all of a sudden heard that there's planting for food and for jobs, and that they were not. They were living in Tema trying to find something, and now they are back. And on our ancestral land, they start a 2-acre maize farm because there is a program called Planting for Food and Jobs. And you think that it is nothing. If on my farm, I decided that I will expand from 10 acres to 14 acres, okay, because I can receive some help, and I employ people, you from by day. Tell me that as for by day, it is not.
Now you know by day, right?
I know by day.
And so by day came when them people came to power.
I didn't say it came, but the man was sitting at home. Now there is opportunity. It is all
The job they have created is by day.
creating opportunity. Did I say I've created by day? If a mason sits at home and nobody is building, and then all of a sudden something is building, nobody says that he created labor or mason. The mason was sitting there without a job. You see, but at the end for me, Nana, at the end for me, they will tell you, I hear the prince. Me, I haven't done too much school, but I hear the prince said something, that the end will justify the means. I am waiting for the outturns.
So be it.
In spite of the army worm invasion, I am waiting for the outturns. It will be a clear pointer of the success of the planting for food and jobs. You know, he talks about cocoa or fertilizer, cocoa fertilizer. You were giving out 1 million tons of fertilizer from the acreage under cultivation for cocoa. Ask any agronomist. We needed 11 million bags. You give out 1 million. The tree people almost say, what generation? You tickle yourself and laugh. When the need was 10 million, you did not provide 10 million. You provided 1 million, and it was a political party activity. Look, going forward, we are not going back on planting for food and jobs. It is a new program. I hear, that we look for the money from Canada. You look for 125 million cedis over 5 years. In the last year, we provided and we spent close to over 400 million cedis on this. I am saying that, Nana, with the greatest due respect, in another 2 or 3 months, we will be able to, the statistical services will be able to conclude the figures and all of these things. And then we will begin to find out whether that investment has turned out properly. You sit and say, people can't buy Olonka. Food. It is not true. People can't buy. It is not true. The people in my own hometown, where my ancestors, where my mother was born, it's a little village called Akumesu in after Asisewa. The people are so happy. My cousin who is a branch secretary of the NDC and had no expectations to send his son to secondary school. His son is in secondary school. He is extremely happy. He is partaking in planting for food and jobs, and he has increased his acreage from 2 to 4.
Thank you.
And since he himself has rightly indicated that we should wait.
Round it up for me.
No problem. We should wait till we conclude on the figures and know the output of what they put in Not until that, they should keep quiet and spare our ears with those figures. If they have not concluded on those figures and the output, anything they are throwing out there, for me, I mean.
But you should also spare us.
Can I?
You should also spare our ears.
Let him land. Yes.
You see, the media should help us. Sometimes, you see, governance, I keep saying governance is not about slogans. The main challenges in the agri sector is not about subsidies. If you are looking at the agri sector, you divide it into about 3 or 4. You look at our land tenure system. You look at the machinery. That is the main reason why the youth are not going into agri. Okay, the direct labor we put in. Then you look at the market for the produce. These are the indicators. These are the things you must look out for. Nana, let me quickly, because of time, let me quickly touch on only one. Only one of them. Nana, no problem. Only one.
Seconds.
Nana, since they came to power, they should tell us one shovel that they have imported into this country. Under His Excellency John Dramani Mahama, they entered into an agreement with the Brazilian government and combined harvesters, seed drill, tractors, okay? Seed drill, tractors, threshers, what have you, whatever it takes, machinery for the expansion in the agri sector, the former regime brought it.
All too soon, that's what time will allow.
With the greatest due respect, there is something called agri mechanization. It is not new. It has been there in the last 50 years. In the last 8 years, when they were there, they must have imported agri machinery close to maybe $300 million. Agri out 10 was negative.
No, go and check it. Go and check
well,
the
with
agri out 10 was negative.
Excitable conversation has been Emmanuel Chamantin Ejakun was Honorable Member of Parliament for Awai also West Wagon, member of the MPP, and Kwabena Minta Akando, MP for Juaboso, former Deputy Minister of Lands, also a member of the NDC, and you can't say it wasn't exciting. It was. We'll be back to do this all over again. And I always give you this number. It's 024-366-2001. 024-366-2001. Tanti's Fashion. They supply the shirts for the show. Get yourself one. Gentlemen, thank you so much.
Like you say, Ahumudu.
Attention.
The evidence is there.
Stop talking and let the Ghanaians feel the evidence.